Amazing trailer they put together here. Welcome to this panel on Web3 mass adoption. I am Cosima, my colleague Anna, and we created the Web3 track, and I will lead you through the program for the next 45 minutes. We talk about mass adoption of Web3 today. Yesterday you heard a lot about NFTs. Today we also had a few Web3 tracks, and this is the last, or Web3 sessions, and this is the last Web3 session of the conference. And Web3 is such a big topic, as you maybe know. There are NFTs, there's blockchain, there's crypto, there's metaverse, and today we will talk about more or less all of that. We will not talk about definitions, so if you don't know what NFTs are, we can talk about that later, but we could spend the whole day about talking about defining Web3. And we want to take various perspectives today. We want to talk about Web3 from a B2B and B2C perspective. We want to talk about industrial and commercial metaverse. We want to also take a perspective from the corporate, but also from the startup side. And that's why we also have a very diverse panel today when it comes to the professional background. So I am inviting you to introduce yourself. Valeria, do you want to go first?
Sure, I can start if you can hear me right. So my name is Valeria. Nice to meet you all. I'm the co-founder and managing director of the community marketing agency MetaValue. And what we are doing is providing community building services to our clients, basically from strategy to execution. And what we have to do with Web3, we accompany also Web3 projects. And basically, community is Web3, so that's why I'm here, and I'm looking forward to the panel.
My name is Louis Bollinger, and I'm also very happy to be here. Thank you very much. I'm co-founder of HoloLight. That's an 8-year-old startup in Munich. We have more than 80 people, and we work on augmented and virtual reality, on metaverse topics, and we have obviously in this area also a lot of touch points to the Web3 topic, and very happy to be here and handing over.
Hi everyone, my name is Steffen. I'm with Lufthansa's Innovation Hub. They are responsible for our new mobile application called UpTrip. It's a trading card collecting game with a blockchain component available in the App Store. Feel free to check it out. In my previous life, I also have been a software developer, so happy also to answer technical questions. And looking forward.
Cool. So mass adoption is a topic today. I said we're not defining terms today, but I would like to define the term mass adoption, because what does that actually mean? Does that mean that everyone owns NFTs? Does that mean that my grandma has a wallet? How do you define mass adoption? Valeria?
Okay, it's a hard question, but I would start at defining terms. So if my grandmother would know what Web3 actually would be or is, then I would be really happy, but I think there is a problem there. So we have a small crowd, still the early adopters who know what Web3 is and all the terms that come within. So if that would be clear, that would be the first step. And then I would look at, okay, what actually kind of use cases do we have and who's actually using them? So that would be the first thing where I would start.
Mm-hmm. Luis, looking at the industrial metaverse, mass adoption, yes, no?
Yeah, I'd say there are different levels of adoption, and the big mass adoption topic, like everybody having a mobile phone, a smartphone, that's, I think also in the context that we are talking about today, that maybe not yet there, but there are different levels, I think, that we can reach, and the fact that, for example, we are not talking anymore just to innovation managers is for me a clear sign that we are leaving this first POC and research phase, in the area we're working in. And the fact that you talk to enterprises who have not just one user, but maybe hundreds of users is the next big step. And I think we're reaching next steps very quickly, actually, in the next years.
Steffen, you talked about how you just last week launched UpTrip, the NFT version of Miles & More, let's call it that. And why did you decide to launch now to also such a big audience, like everyone knows Lufthansa, many people are traveling with Lufthansa. Why did you decide to launch now? Was now the right time? And is the average person out there ready for NFTs and in the context of loyalty programs?
Probably not. The average person is definitely not ready for it. I'd say we didn't really look or wait for the right time. We worked on that project. We wanted to launch a prototype, innovate on it, test, fail, repeat. So it wasn't so important to have the right timing or to wait. But we also set Uptrip up in a way that you can use it as a Web2 application from the start. It has nothing to do with Web3 if you don't want to. But if you want to get the extra bits out of it, you can turn on the Web3 mode, so to say, connect a wallet, mint your cards as NFTs, gain certain benefits with it. And so maybe there's also a certain charm to be an early adopter, right? And also maybe we have a bit of we need to educate people also maybe as a corporate, right? So we show you there's more in it to get if you educate yourself on the Web3 path.
Why did you decide to even do an NFT loyalty program? Was there? Did you want to add an extra spice to what we know as Miles & More? It's also connected, if I'm correct.
Yeah, it's a joint venture with Miles & More. And yeah, honestly, the buzz on it was definitely one part. Let's be honest, right? Like, it's cool to work on new tech. As a corporate, you gain exposure because people love to talk about it. But there's also way more to it on the product side. And to keep it brief, the main thing here is that the second I give you the trading cards that you can collect with Uptrip as an NFT, you have 100% ownership and you can transfer them to friends, swap them or trade them on any secondary external marketplace without us needing to build the tech nor talk to an external exchange or anything. It's a bit like for non-technical people, I say, imagine I print the card and the hard copy is now the representation and you can do with it whatever you want. And this is definitely one of the main advantages.
Mm-hmm. You also covered communities and you're an expert on community building. How important is good UX design for community building in Web3, but also in Web2? Because I think community building is something that is very vital to Web3, but in Web2 often overlooked.
I mean, I would say it's always key. So no matter what, if you look at Web2 or Web3 applications, you have to have good UX because otherwise you lost the customer. And that's so quickly that you will lose the customer because our attention span is really low at the moment. And I assume it will or won't get higher anymore. So you really have to make it convenient and easy to follow through. And I think it's really smart to have different kind of user scenarios where you can say, okay, if I'm a light user, then I can also use the application. But if I want to have the whole experience and maybe the cooler one, the deeper one, then I can be that user. And you have for each user, they have their own time to really learn and decide if they want to go that track down the road. And that's also how we do it in community building.
Mm-hmm. And then again, looking at the UX part, I have the feeling that many Web3 projects, also because they are not coming from the corporate side, but more from the startup perspective, are lacking good UX design. It's always so difficult to connect your wallet, and then you connect it, and then the NFT is not showing up, or sometimes it's showing up, sometimes it's not, etc. Is that something where you lose people when you think of mass adoption, that they are curious to try it, then they see the application, and it's not really going that well, and they're trusting Web3 nonetheless, so then they hit and run?
Yeah, often I would say that the product itself is too complex. Or also when it's a smaller project, often the project owners, they are really into the topic and they would love to put everything in it to make it as cool as possible. But that's maybe the starting point where you lose people, because when you have too many ideas you want to put in one product or one service, then it's getting complex. And I would always start by making it as simple as possible, because what we are doing in community building, we're doing a lot of communication work. And of course you can provide a communication to explain it, but if I need to explain it in 5 minutes, then it's too long, and I would rather take like 3 sentences and then it's clear.
Luis, looking at industrial metaverse applications, what are the main challenges talking to the, bringing back to term community, like B2B community? So when you go to industrial companies, what is their reaction to the whole metaverse topic? It's also a buzzword, also in the industry. Siemens is all over, like the news with the industrial metaverse. They had a talk yesterday about it. Is the buzzword helping? And what are the challenges that industrial companies are like having when it comes to industrial metaverse? Are they struggling understanding the concept, or are they just not there yet in terms of general digitization? So metaverse, what is that? We have our Faxgeräte still, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. I think buzzwords like the metaverse, on the one hand, they are great for us because as I think it was in 2021 or 22 when it became bigger, and also in the AR/VR community. And obviously everybody's Googling and trying to get more information, and that's great because it gives you visibility. On the other hand, it's kind of a burden because I think nowadays we live in a world where we very, very early define something new, but we don't fill it with life. Yeah, it's not there. Yeah, so a definition is very difficult. And what we want to do is we want to help companies in starting their journey, because it doesn't start with the metaverse. It starts with classic use cases. Yeah, so companies who want to use augmented and virtual reality in their company for a design review and in the product development process, for remote support use cases. And the next step for us and the biggest challenge is actually to get into that scalability phase. Yeah, and that's why I like the discussion about the mass market so much. Yeah, because for us the metaverse is kind of an answer to the question of how we make AR/VR more scalable. And for us, the industrial metaverse, which is for sure not the same like the classic metaverse that you hear from Meta and from some others, is for us just this enterprise-ready environment in which you can bring all your AR/VR applications, your content, and where it's kind of centralized, but centralized in a way that it's a central access point for users. On the other hand, on the infrastructure side, it's decentralized because what's very important for us is the streaming aspect. Yeah, how does all the data get to your end device? Yeah, via one platform, but actually the server which is closest to you. And that's the big challenge we are trying to face. Yeah, we're trying to set up an infrastructure for enterprises, an industrial metaverse infrastructure where they can easily get access to, and where the infrastructure behind is set up in a way that it can be globally scaled. Yeah, and this is a challenge for us to communicate that to enterprises. But as said in the beginning, it starts with a classic use case and the question: how can we help you in making this more scalable? And this brings us step by step to the industrial metaverse.
You're currently entering the US market. Do you see that from an international perspective, other countries are like further developed when it comes to industrial metaverse, but also the applications that are like behind that? You said AR, VR, AI, etc. Are they more open, or is that like, do they have the use cases? Are they ready to implement?
For sure, there are a few differences. Yeah, so a lot of the technology is coming from the US, and so the people there, they learn very quickly about it. They learned also how to adapt it in a quick way. So yes, we see a huge push in the market there. That's why we opened an office there. We have an increasing business there. The ratio gets bigger and bigger year by year. Yeah, so the amount of revenue we do with US customers is definitely growing, and this is because of the openness. But on the other side, I would say it's a question also of the industry. Because and the size of the company, yeah, because we have, for example, we do business with one car manufacturer in Germany, but we don't do business with all the others because they are at a different step in their personal journey. And it's the same in the US, actually. Yeah, you have some companies that are far away from digitization, and you have some others that are really pushing forward. And what I think is the the most innovative one in the US is for sure everything that comes from aerospace and defense. This is like a huge driver of innovation there. And this is where when we just knock on the door and tell them about what we do, they actually know, and they can then talk to us and read to us. It's not evangelism, not education. It's a communication on the same level. Yeah, and yeah, so yeah, US is for sure super interesting.
Mm-hmm. Just because if it's so much, sorry, it's again a question to Luis. Your product, your solution has no blockchain component. Is that something that plays a role in the industry metaverse, or are they like, because in the consumer metaverse, blockchain and the metaverse are always kind of connected. It's always, oh yeah, then you can use NFTs, but in the industrial metaverse, is that a thing?
Yes, so I think not necessarily the industrial metaverse and Web3 they are not the same, yeah, but they have definitely overlapping topics. We don't have yet a blockchain component in our products. We have a streaming solution which gives you the ability to stream your XR apps from a server to your device in highest quality. It's a little bit more difficult than a Netflix stream, yeah, because users are moving and they need a real-time image every time. But we are also part in a couple of EU Horizon projects where we already started to implement blockchain technology in our streaming service, yeah, to make it more secure. And I think security is also in the enterprise market one of the huge drivers for this topic, and where I definitely see also use cases for adding blockchain to the all XR and metaverse topic.
Steffen, your innovation hub and also Uptrip is part of a big German company that we know German companies are, the old ones are not the fastest, and they have their challenges when it comes to new things and innovation and technology. What were the big challenges you had with Uptrip in that context? Was it the connection to Massimo, like from a technical perspective, connecting to Massimo, connecting to other legacy systems? Was it the blockchain component?
Surprisingly, within Lufthansa, it was actually all pretty easy. The joint venture with Miles & More, then obviously setting up APIs to the airlines to validate flights and get data about aircrafts and everything that is brought into Uptrip from the Lufthansa group was totally easy. I definitely say the technical development of the blockchain component was most challenging. Because developer documentation and libraries are not yet there in the blockchain area, how we are used to it in web or app development in general. I don't know if some of you used Ethers.js or Web3.js. It's probably not what you're used to from other web frameworks. And there's new stuff coming, and it's definitely getting better, but the state of documentation is really not there yet, or you don't have a lot of examples to look inward. There's many different tools you need to choose from. Do I do custodial wallets, non-custodial, Wallet Connect versus MetaMask or other wallets, service providers that can give you an abstraction layer, but you're not sure if you want that abstraction layer. So a lot of difficult decisions for which you don't have best practice examples yet. And making all that in a mobile application added additional challenges. It's way more easy on a desktop application to develop something for the blockchain than on a mobile device. So be careful when you get into this.
You decided to build on Polygon. Why did you do so?
I think first off, every Ethereum virtual machine-based blockchain is a great choice for projects. It's an extremely mature concept, well documented, a lot of support and tooling, stable, secure, everything. Obviously, the Ethereum blockchain itself is not the greatest choice because of low throughput and high transaction costs. Hence, you would always go to either a layer 2 blockchain like Optimism or something, or you would choose Polygon, which is its own blockchain but built on the EVM. And Polygon has a good enough throughput and low transaction cost, I'd say. And also a lot of other big brands have chosen Polygon, Starbucks, and so on. So also you need a Matic token to pay for gas fees, or these kind of things might be a bit spread into the audience more than with other blockchains maybe.
Mm-hmm. Coming from one hype topic to the other, or connecting two hype topics, AI is everywhere. How would you say, Valeria, asking you, how AI and Web3 are connected? Is the AI hype helping Web3? Is it just like taking over the stage and no one is talking about Web3 anymore? And also maybe like from a technological perspective, would you say that like the developments in AI can maybe help Web3?
I mean, if we look at the media, then I would say definitely that Web3 has a cool down, or it's in not even crypto winter, so we can say it's a Web3 winter. And generative AI definitely raised more eyes or ears, or however you want to say it. So it's more the main topic because it's easier to understand for the people, because that's the problem we have with Web3. It's, again, too complex. And generative AI is easier to understand in terms of use cases, because even my parents can understand, like with the easy applications, okay, generative AI can make my life easier. And of course, I would say it's also a thing in terms of definition. If you can say, does generative AI belong in the concept of Web3? I would say yes. For me, it's connected. So I would say everything that helps raise those ears back to Web3 can help. So also you can use a lot of applications from generative AI for Web3 projects and use cases. So I think it's definitely a win-win situation there.
Luis, what are your thoughts?
I mean, it's a little bit competition when it's about the attention from investors, the AI topic, yeah. But I think AI has a lot of potential for the XR and for the industrial metaverse topic, because in XR there are new ways of how to interact with content. And if I just can imagine that I'm not designing a 3D model with just my hands in the air, that's difficult, yeah. But if I get additional tools and things that help me, and artificial intelligence helping me, then there are really a lot of use cases. In our situation, we focus a little bit on the core, and AI is like it's also a trending topic. I think the combination of different technologies is always kind of on an early stage in the beginning, yeah. And we have to do some homework in each individual technology. That's what I can say for our case, yeah. And that's why sometimes we have people saying, "Hey, can you include I don't know, an artificial intelligence in your solution?" And I say, "Yeah, okay, we can do it, but ideally we would start with some basics, yeah." And so I think it's great. Also, this whole attention, and there are a lot of use cases related to from artificial intelligence use case related to XR and the metaverse. But we, in our case, really try to focus on basics first, but we always keep an eye on it. Yeah, you have to observe that development, because if you're not understanding the opportunities behind it, yeah, you'll fail in the future.
Valeria, one question for you. Web3 is all about involving the community. We spoke about that earlier, and also product development within Web3 is all about the community. How do you involve the community in a way that they want to co-develop a product with you? And also, what do they get out of it?
I mean, you were talking about co-creation approaches. It's different from each kind of project, I would say so, but starting and in giving them a purpose, why they are working with you on the project, like a clear guideline, why you want them to be included, and also reward them for them. So giving a clear picture from the corporate perspective or project perspective, like what's our goal, where do we want to go, and what is your part in it, to make that clear, and then to really be open for their ideas. Because the most bad thing that could happen is that they give you feedback. They give you your ideas, but then you don't include them in the end. So you have to make sure to be also open and to ready to open your innovation project or your project itself to the community.
And in your experience, how is that for developers when they get this direct feedback from the community? Because very often in corporates that don't do anything with Web3, in my experience, there's always a middleman. You know, like the feedback from the users never directly to, or very, very rarely directly to the developer. So there's a middleman sorting the feedback, reframing it, and etc., and just handing it over. Is that for developers? Is that motivating to get the feedback directly from the community, or distracting, or how? What do you think?
I would also say if it's reasonable, they definitely understand, because if it's making the product better, then of course they are ready to it. And for example, we also work with a client who had like 2-week sprints, so that was perfect to include the feedback. And we as community builders, we are also the moderators of the community. So we are those people who try to translate. And it worked quite well because it was good feedback, because they actually use the application and they know, okay, what's their best and desired user flow. And most of the times also the developers see then, okay, that's the bugs we have to look into, and that's working. But I would say that you really have to keep that window more close, so like that your sprints aren't too big, that you have like the time to get your feedback and also get it done quickly, that the community sees the results, that something is happening, and that's the way to go, yeah.
Hey, we have 3 minutes left, so I would like to get a final statement from the three of you regarding the overarching question we have today. Where are we with Web3 when it comes to mass adoption? And what, from like a technical perspective, but also in general, what are the next steps you see taking Web3 towards mass adoption?
I'd say we're quite far away from mass adoption, in my opinion. And what it needs is, for one example, more good developer tools and documentation, because at the end, developers are the people who build products for the masses there. You take the Apple App Store or something, for example, which worked tremendously because they offered something really nicely for developers as well. So that will help a lot to have more use cases out there and drive mass adoption. And second, probably a nice UX abstraction layer on the blockchain. Like right now, if you sign a transaction in MetaMask, you see the raw hex code and you have no idea what you're actually doing. And I think there's also projects that are working on these things. Although in my opinion, the abstraction shouldn't be too much, because there needs to be some sort of education, I think. But those two pillars.
And maybe I try to give like the perspective of the communication side. So of course also, or the community side, also include the community along the way. So ask them, okay, what do they need that they will use it at the end? So rely on their feedback. And in terms of communication, what I will expect to see is that there's a lot less communication around we are using the tech. So we are not doing buzzwords dropping like, okay, Web3, NFTs, and so on. So I guess that won't matter anymore for the communication, but I agree that education still is a thing. So for the people who want to dive deeper, you have to provide the communication and the education. But in the main general communication, it will be as it used to be in Web2.
Yeah, as you said, we are definitely not yet in the masses when it comes to Web3 and all the other buzzwords around it. But what I think is very important, that on the developer side and also ourselves being a software company, we can pave the way actually to, with our technology, with strong and valid use cases, with a powerful and reliable basic technology, that actually this topic can grow in the next years. And I absolutely see a huge growth potential, but we cannot force it. I think we have to do the basics, and then the use cases will come. As just the XR topic is something that is not yet in the consumer market up and running, although we tested the Apple Vision Pro and it's really, really cool. Videos are definitely reliable, yeah. But it will come in the next 2-3 years, yeah. And I think we start with a strong fundament, and then everything can grow, and then we can maybe reach the masses, the real masses, yeah, in the next couple of years.
Yeah, I would also make the statement that it's good that it's a bit more quiet around the Web3 topic, because the last 2 years it was really fueled by people who are looking for investment opportunities and who are buying every NFT collection there was, hoping that the value would rise and they could resell it. And now, as all these people are leaving the space and looking for the next big thing, and on LinkedIn changing their title to AI expert, and we are going towards more mature use cases and projects. Companies are still in the space; they're not that vocal anymore about it. But if you ask companies, if you look behind closed doors, if you also, especially into the B2B sector, there are actually many very cool projects going on. We're done with the official time, and I would hand over to the audience. Are there any questions? Of course you have a question, but